Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to present our second part of Parliamentary Procedures, episode 2. First part, we talk about introduction. Now let's see what's there in the second part. Please welcome with me our presenter. He's the past Region 11 advisor. He's the past district director of the largest district in Toastmasters International. And he's also a biker, surprisingly. Please welcome with me our presenter, DTM Ali Shahbaz Ali. Over to you.
Thank you, our VP Education and Admin Manager of District 20, DTM Rashid Maimoon. It's also my pleasure to acknowledge the President of Vision Advanced Toastmasters Club, DTM Shubhashri, with us. I'm happy to continue part 2 of the Parliamentary Procedure series. But before going ahead, let us have a quick recap of what we did in part 1. And this is going to be a usual practice to have a recap. We discussed why do we need parliamentary procedures in the previous session, how does it benefit us, and how it saves the rights of minority and majority rules to transact business quickly, efficiently, and why do Toastmasters International recommends us to follow parliamentary procedures. We also discussed Robert's Rules of Order, some history about how did Henry Martin Robert come up with his previous editions or his first book when he experienced disputes in his own meetings, and that led to Robert's Rules of Order. We discussed briefly about the latest book in the market for Robert Rules of Order, newly revised. We spoke about why Robert Rules of Order should be followed in our Toastmasters meeting, and that's very much mentioned in our leadership handbook, which is the district leadership handbook and even the governing document. Some basic definitions were covered on what is a quorum, constitution, bylaws, standing rules, who is a presiding officer, motion, especially the part where we discussed quorum, which is normally 50% plus 1 to transact business. We spoke once again about the fundamental principles which holds parliamentary procedures. Every knowledge we learn is supposed to make us better, but not obstruct or criticize people, especially understanding the core values of Toastmasters International. And here is where we spoke about call to order and what happens after the presiding officer says call to order. The whole order of business is, we discussed it briefly and it is right here on screen in front of you. And then we came to the main motion, which was the main part of the previous meeting. So a member makes a motion. First of all, a member needs to be recognized. A member makes a motion, another member seconds the motion, and then the presiding officer plays motion before the group. Motion is open for debate, motion is put to vote, and presiding officer announces the results. And this was done as a small practical exercise in the previous episode. Now, here are different categories of motions which we are supposed to know about, at least to govern our Toastmasters meetings or a business meeting, to have decisions done very effectively and not to prolong our meetings. There are different categories of motions that we should know about. Now, this is not the only ones, but this is what we should know about to conduct Toastmasters business in our regular meetings, ExCom meetings, Club ExCom, area, division, or even district ExComs or district councils. So we have the main motion, which we discussed. Today we are going to the subsidiary motion, and in later series, we will continue with subsidiary motions till we reach to privileged motions. Now, what you see on this chart is going to make you go crazy, but please do not focus on everything now. We'll take it step by step. Here is subsidiary motion, which you see number 12 on the screen. And as we go higher, so does the ranks of the motions goes higher, as you see in the chart. The number one ranked motion, as you see in the chart, it's fixed the time to which to adjourn the meeting. That's the number one motion. So each motion here has its own rank. So the higher the rank, the more powerful it is. So we are going to start with the class of subsidiary motions. And here it is. Subsidiary motions. Postpone, indefinite. First of all, why do we need subsidiary motions? Subsidiary motions are the next category after the main motion, and it deals with treating or disposing the main motion, maybe modifying the main motion. That's what meant by treating, striking out something in the main motion, or actually disposing the main motion. And this is called subsidiary motions. So in the subsidiary motions category, there is postpone indefinitely, there is amend, refer to a committee, postpone to a certain time, limit or extend limits of debate, previous question, lay on the table. So this is the family of subsidiary motions. Now again, explanation is given for each motion on the side, but we will discuss every motion. We will at least try to cover 2 motions, or if time permits, 3 motions in every series. So here is, we get started with the first one, which is postponed indefinitely. What does this mean? It gets rid of the main motion for duration of the session without defeating the motion. It is used when adopting or rejecting the main motion if it would have any negative consequences. Now, if somebody in the assembly realizes that if we accept this motion in the heat of the time or argument or debate, maybe this motion won't be the best choice for the House in the future, in short future, in long future. Or maybe there could be some other reason. We don't know. But a person who can issue this motion to the people, to the House, is actually this kind of disposing the motion, or saying that we will bring it sometime, but we don't know that time. So every motion can be interrupted. Every motion can have a second or may not have a second. We have to understand the nature of motion. It can be debatable, it maybe cannot be debatable. Some motions can be amended, some cannot be amended. Some simply need majority to vote, some need 2/3 of the membership to vote. So let's look at this chart more closely here. In the postpone indefinitely, may interrupt. No, we cannot interrupt when somebody is making this motion. But it has to be seconded, yes. It can be debatable. Somebody can debate, why are you coming up with such a motion? We are already discussing a main motion, which is quite important. Okay? It can't be amended. We cannot amend this motion. We need majority of people to vote for it, 50% plus 1. I'll give you an example. I move that the motion to buy dinner for all club members be postponed indefinitely. President, the president says it has been moved. Suppose this motion has been seconded by for member A. The president has to repeat, like any motion. It has been moved and seconded that the motion to buy dinner for all club members be postponed indefinitely. Now, we have to debate on this motion. Should we postpone this motion indefinitely to buy dinner for all club members, or we just drop it? We cannot introduce new topics here. We have to stick to the main motion, because this is branch from the main motion, or this is talking about the main motion. So we should speak about the main motion, and the debate should continue on this purpose. In case this motion is lost, we go back to the main motion. So that's how it works. I'll quickly give you the next motion which we will discuss in detail, which is amend. Amend is a very common motion done in most of the meetings that I have witnessed. The purpose of amend is to modify the wording of the pending motion before it is acted upon. You can strike off a main motion, you can add a few words before or after in the main motion, and that's called amend. Now we will understand amend in the next episode because it's a quite long one. You can study amend yourself and come back to me and to make it even more interesting. But now I'm open to questions on the first motion which we discussed, postpone indefinitely. Over to you, our VP Education, Rashid Mahmood.
Thank you, DTM Ali. I don't think there is more, any ambiguity regarding the amending motion. But my question is postpone indefinitely when we say it. When do I raise the motion? Maybe I'm going to say while the main motion is being discussed, or the discussion for the main motion is finished. When do I raise it? The motion to postpone indefinitely.
Thank you very much. That's a very important question coming from your side or maybe the audience. Now, the answer is quite simple. We have to understand it this way. If there is no main motion, there can't be subsidiary motion. So main motion calls for other motion. So it has the lowest rank. So suppose if a member has said or moved the motion which is seconded to buy dinner for all club members, but maybe you realized or the member questioning this realized that there is no money. The treasurer doesn't have money, or maybe it is the treasurer himself or herself. There is no money in the club. How, if this motion is adopted, I know there is no money. So the treasurer can quickly put this motion up. I move that the motion to buy dinner for all club members be postponed indefinitely. Maybe it's COVID-19 era. We don't know when we'll have that kind of budget. So only when we have main motion, only then we can postpone it indefinitely. So it can be during the debate itself, someone can come up with this motion. But remember one thing, postpone indefinitely is like softly killing the whole motion because we don't know when this will be discussed again. Unless the club brings it off the table in the next unfinished business. But normally people do this to kind of disposing it forever. It's not killed, but it's almost there. It's in the coma.
Okay, what if I give a timeline, say that I propose that this motion is postponed until the study committee comes to a decision, the nomination committee comes to a decision, or until the next meeting, business session, when the treasurer is here from his long awaited trip, something like that.
Yes,
if now, it specify. Yeah.
Great. Now that's again a very good question. Here is what we can do. We can change the motion indefinitely, postpone indefinitely to refer to a committee. Even that's a motion. As you see on the chart here, we can even postpone it to a certain time. That's another motion. So we have a choice of doing that as well. We can refer it to a committee, which is motion now number 3 on the screen, or number 4 to postpone to certain time. And this also we'll be discussing in our future series. But for postpone indefinitely, it's kind of, as I said, softly killing the whole motion. We really don't know when are we going to bring it back.
DTM Ali, I have a question. Say, for instance, we have put up the main motion, and then there are people who are speaking for and against. At that point of time, can the subsidiary motion to postpone indefinitely, is it at that point of time also they can bring in when the debate is going on?
Yes, they must bring it at that time only.
Okay.
It has to come only before the main motion is adopted. For example, if the main motion is voted on, it's adopted, then there is no point of bringing this motion anymore because the assembly has already adopted the motion. So it has to be there while the main motion is on the floor.
When the discussion is going on, that's the time to introduce the subsidiary motion, you mean?
Exactly, exactly.
Okay.
So once the subsidiary motion is introduced and then there is a debate on that first, then we go back to the main motion, because if that is adopted, then the main motion itself is defeated.
It's by default it's defeated. But if the main motion is defeated, if the later is adopted, the latter motion, the new motion is adopted, the main motion will be defeated. But if the postpone indefinitely is defeated, we still need to come back to the main motion.
So the presiding officer has to then say, let's say the president here, first he gives the first motion, and then when there is a debate, the people come up with these subsidiary motion, and then that gets debated on and it is voted. Then the presiding officer has to announce that this has been adopted and the main motion is defeated.
Exactly. And in future series, we will also find out what's the next stronger motion than postpone indefinitely. What else can we do? If somebody comes up with this motion, can we do something about it? We are worried that this motion might be accepted and the main motion might die. So we have a choice what to do next.
Okay.
That's what we are going to discuss in the amend motion.
Okay.
Yeah. Are there any more questions from the audience?
I think we can continue at this point. Yeah.
Okay. If no questions, shall we call it off? Thank you very much.
I think if the time is off, Toastmasters Subhashir, yes, I think
Yes,
the timer,
yes.
yes, yeah. Okay, so we can stop at this juncture. Thank you, DTM Ali Shahbaz, for that wonderful presentation about subsidiary and other parliamentary procedure that you have continued. And we hope you continued in our series 2, series 3, and future series as well. We'll be hoping to gathering the recording and sharing it with all the audience once we have finished. Thank you so much everyone for attending, and inshallah we'll move on to the next part of the meeting. Thank you and
Thank you.